Okay, good day, Maswati Damatle. We haven't done a Finance in Focus for a short while because there's always been some speech or something I've done which we put on social media. But we did feel today it was necessary to do that again. And today specifically speaking about the new tax on alcohol and tobacco. Maswati, now let's start with the reason why we do that, because as a country we are trying to not actually increase taxes. We're trying to keep the taxes either the same or even try and reduce it for certain industries, really to try and grow the economy and to try and keep more money in people's pockets and to be able to try to have companies instead of paying tax, try and use that money to actually grow the company so that we can create more employment. Because as we always say, it's employment and poverty which are our two biggest problems in the country, and we're trying to use the growth of the economy to deal with these problems rather than trying to deal with the problems directly. What we have found was, and that is that the cost of drunken driving, for instance, and the cost of people smoking and having health problems, it does actually cost everybody else, and it does cost more in the hospitals, it costs more on the roads, with what one refers to as sin tax. And so for that reason, when we were looking at ways and means to possibly increase tax, as well as discourage these practices, sin tax is a good option to look at. And so we have considered that. There's a bill that was passed more than a month ago now through Parliament, with the Alcohol and Tobacco Act. And so what that has done, we have increased the cost of imported alcohol. So first of all, just to be clear that we did not add any new taxes on locally produced alcohol. As in Eswatini know, we do produce alcohol in Eswatini quite a bit. There's the breweries which produces. Then we have a few productions. I think even this last week, the sugar industry, or Res, I think it was, actually put a new brand of rum or something like that on the market. And so you find that this production of alcohol in the country is what we do try and promote, because it means adding value to products that we have. And we do have a lot of alcohol being produced in the country, enormous exported. Producing our own alcohol branded products is really something which we'll promote and can really boost the industry and help grow jobs. So for that reason, we haven't increased the tax on locally produced alcohol. So the rate before was 2%, and we've kept it at 2% as a tax on locally produced. But on imported alcohol, we've increased it. It was 7% before. We've now increased it to 10%. So there's an extra 3% on imported alcohol. So imported alcohol, if one used to pay 100 ml for an imported bottle of whiskey, as an example, you'll now be paying 103 ml for that same bottle. So there's a 3%, 3 ml per 100 ml that was paid here, import increase that has been charged there. At the same time, we've also increased on tobacco. Now, tobacco, unlike alcohol, there actually isn't tobacco produced in Eswatini, and so we've kind of gone 12% across the board, which will now really impact imports. Before there was a 7% charge on imported tobacco. There's now a 12% charge on imported tobacco, meaning there's a 5% increase. So I know a box of cigarettes doesn't cost 100 ml, but if it had to cost 100 ml, it means it'll now have to cost 105 ml with the costs that have been added to this. And so just to let everybody know that these charges are there and that these charges are going to impact us, and the data is from the 1st of September. So this is applicable from the 1st of September, and it'll happen at that time. So again, just normally when I talk like this, we also just speak to the man on the street. How does it impact him? Obviously, people that are using tobacco and alcohol, it will have an impact. Unless one is consuming alcohol from domestic supplies, then it won't have an impact on you. But at the same time, we do this to try and discourage it. So my advice to Maswati is, and that is that, again, you're having a little bit of alcohol is probably not a problem, but having too much alcohol is, because number one, it does have an impact on your health. Secondly, it does both of these things do cause addictions. And addictions, like gambling, like different addictions, they have a very negative impact on one's well-being. And so just to try and say, if one can use this opportunity of the higher price to try and, for those that do consume too much of these products, to try and reduce tobacco, obviously, is again bad for one's health. So one does try to discourage the use of tobacco because of emphysema, all those problems that do come from a high use of tobacco. So we just try and use these ways to try and discourage that and try and encourage them, Maswati. Those that are addicted to it, very difficult to shake addictions. Normally you need external help to actually shake addictions. But the first step is making a decision that you want to shake it. And then from there, one can see what support you need. Without wanting to shake addictions, it's almost impossible to actually try and get rid of an addiction. So yeah, my advice to people that are battling with these things would just be to say, get help. There is help out there that can help you get off these addictions, and one normally has a better life and a more fruitful life after that. So thank you, Maswati. Thanks for listening. Appreciate. Have a good week.